everybody, it's me, Gwen, your Grimoire's voice, and welcome back to Hunter's Moon. Now, this week we have a special topic, Tools of the Hunt. A look into the Yautja arsenal. This will be delving into a fraction of the weapons and tools seen in the movies and video games and novels. But not every one of them, because if we do, we'll be here until November 7th when Badlands comes out. Now, what better way to start off talking about Predator weapons and talk about the iconic Predator weapon, or at least the most iconic? And, well, the wrist blades and other short-range blades. The wrist blades are the quintessential Yautja weapon. Mounted on the right, left, or sometimes both gauntlets, it houses two, one, or sometimes even three serrated knives, plasma forged, honed to absolutely rip into things. It's also not just used for combat. They can be used to climb certain rougher terrains like big trees or rocks. But more accurately and more appropriately, they're used for ritualistic mutilation of prey. This can mean skinning, or more appropriately, taking trophies. Now, there's other short-range blades, like the maul, which is a gigantic baton nightstick tonfa-looking thing, but instead of a stick at the end, it's a gigantic blade that you swing around and cut things in half with. It's awesome. There's also some occasions where some Yautja use little knives, like ceremonial daggers. Very good for taking trophies, including xenomorph trophies. Now, what about the other high-profile Yautja weapon that was introduced in the first movie? The head-tracking shoulder cannon, to end all head-tracking shoulder cannons, the plasma caster, and similar shoulder cannons. The plasma caster sits on the right, left, and of course, sometimes both shoulders, and is a head-tracking laser gun. For example, it tracks heat and movement. If it tracks, what just happened to my face there? If it finds certain movement or heat, it will lock onto it. A little targeting reticle will appear, as well as a little targeting laser coming out of the biomask. It will lock onto a target, and with a little click motion with the jaw, I believe, it's either that or as a button on the wrist gauntlet will fire out a plasma blast. And upon hitting a target, it will explode into plasma shrapnel. It also cauterizes wounds, like seen when Blaine got his chest torn open by it in the first movie, as well as when Dylan got his arm removed by it in the first movie. But there's also other Predator shoulder cannons. Well, technically shoulder cannons. There's the electroshock missile battery, which is attached to military cast Yautja, as well as the Blazer, which is another weapon attached to military class Yautja. The Blazer is similar to the plasma caster, but instead of firing a single bolt of energy, it fires a death ray, a sweeping death ray of solar plasma that will scorch anything it touches. Very dangerous. Whereas the electroshock missile battery doesn't fire traditional missiles, it fires plasma missiles out of the back unit, or it goes beep, 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 whoosh! Fires a swarm of missiles. Very deadly. Now we have the wrist computer and all of its functions. The wrist computer sits on sometimes both gauntlets. Well, not always both gauntlets. Most of the time it's the left gauntlet or the right gauntlet. The wrist computer is like a supercomputer, but on your wrist, like the name entails. It operates a lot of the different functions for the suit, including cloaking, activating SATCOM. Sometimes it's even used to activate the Metacomp, which is the medical devices. Sometimes it's a different pack, sometimes it's built into the gauntlet. And of course, if a hunt fails, knock on Veritanium, it activates the self-destruct device. Put in a code, you sit back, you laugh, and then kabadoosh! Big explosion. Very cool. Now moving on to Predator 2, and of course other movies, we have the net gun and net grenades. The net gun either fits on a gauntlet or on your hand like a glove. It fires out razor nets that will pin a target to the wall, slowly constrict and rip into their flesh until they're nothing but mulch. Same thing applies to the net grenade, where it's a little ball, you throw it, it explodes into a net, latches on your target, same deal as the net gun, but when it's done retracting, it retracts back into itself. It's a reusable grenade. Next up, we have another gun, but not just any gun, the spear gun. Now, shown here is from AVP2, the video game, where it's in a rifle form. Same thing in AVP Extinction. But it also comes in pistol forms or built into the gauntlet. Another similar weapon is the bolt gun seen in Prey, where the feral predator uses it instead of a plasma caster, where the mask reticle would target. It fires a bolt that tracks where the dot went. 3 bolts all together, propelled by an anti-gravity well, I believe. I don't know how it's propelled. I presume it's gravity. But it's cool. Although I prefer the spear gun from AVP2 and Predator Concrete Jungle because, I mean, come on. Just one headshot removes your head entirely. Like, it doesn't remove your head like a normal sniper rifle, just blow your head open. No, it pins your head to the wall, not attached to your body. It's awesome. Speaking of spears, now we come to my favorite category of Yautja weaponry. The combi stick and other pole arms. Seen here is the combi stick, which is a retractable spear with both ends will either retract into itself for easy carrying, or press a button, whoosh, it will open up into a giant spear. Sometimes the combi stick has electrically charged tips, or if you stab someone with it, it shocks them. Awesome. But other pole arms include the glaive, which is, instead of a telescoping spear, it's foldable swords attached to a little staff. I don't know, what was that movement? It's foldable swords attached to a staff where you press the button and swords flip out. Very good for slicing. Glaives also come in plasma form, where the blades are superheated. Another superheated weapon is the plasma scythe, not pictured here as well, used by Vanguard Yautja. Plasma scythe, it's unknown if it's the blade is seated with plasma or if the blade is made of plasma. I like to think the blade superheats with plasma, but not just any plasma, dark plasma, which phases through conventional matter and leaves a wound that will never heal. If you're not wearing any kind of body armor, you're dead in 1 hit. If you're wearing heavier armor, you're dead in 4 hits. Pretty cool, if you ask me. The smart disc and other thrown blades. The smart disc, it's like a bladed frisbee of murder. You lock onto a target, you throw it, it locks onto heat and movement, and it will cut you down. It will cut people in half, remove their limbs, or remove their heads. Whatever the case is, you're not walking away with much without injury with this thing. There's also shurikens, which fold out. They are like the smart disc, but less advanced. Where instead of nano-vibronic blades that vibrate at supersonic speeds, it's just 6 giant blades that pop out of the thing. You throw them, they come out like a boomerang. Also like the smart disc, but it doesn't hit multiple targets as well. It's just you throw it, it comes back to you. Also can be used as a melee weapon, both smart disc and the shuriken. Some Yautja also throw knives and exploding blades, like little exploding knives, like seen in Prey. Not in Prey, in Killer of Killers. Wow, I'm out of it today. And if you throw a knife, easy. You just throw a knife, it impales itself in you. The gauntlet explodey blades, like little explodey shuriken discs, come out of the gauntlet, whoosh! They track you, impale, beep, beep, boom! Very ouchy. Now we come to the battle axe and other exotic melee weapons. So yes, Yautja have axes, swords, sometimes they even have other weapons, like maces or flails. The Yautja aren't typical to just regular old wrist blades and spears. No, they have all kinds of melee weapons, as seen here. Battle axes are seen as more of a brutish weapon. They're very heavy. When you swing down, well, we've all seen what happens when a battle axe hits flesh. It's not pretty. Now imagine a Yautja battle axe swung by a giant Yautja. Ouch! Swords are also very common. We'll get into a certain kind of sword later. Sometimes Yautja will use katanas or regular old elder swords or other kinds of weapons. Flails are also common. You know, flails, like the kind of mace you swing around with a chain attached like Megatron. Yeah. Yautja have that too. Pretty cool, huh? And now we have the plasma rifle and other military cast weapons. Yes, the Yautja have a military. Earlier I mentioned the Blazer and the Hydroshock missile, the electroshock missile battery. Those are used by military class Yautja, like with sniper rifle, like plasma sniper rifles or burners. Yautja who don't usually hunt are military Yautja. Why am I babbling now? Holy crap. What I'm trying to say is military cast Yautja use more advanced weaponry, like plasma guns, like rifles, pan guns, sometimes even giant shoulder-mounted death cannons. It's awesome. And I already mentioned the electroshock missile battery and the Blazer. Sometimes Yautja will also implement EMP charges, where they press a button, it scrambles all technology in the area. Pretty cool. Next up, we have the electroshock bola and grenades. The electroshock bola is, well, what the name entails. It's a bola, which is a little ball attached to a string. Well, two balls attached to a string. You spin them, you throw them, and it ensnares your target. Yautja made it even more scary by putting electrically charged cables in it, that when the cables wrap around and the balls hit, you get zapped. Ow! That's not the only thrown weapon they have that has an effect. They also have grenades. A typical plasma grenade can destroy a military APC in one go. They also have fire bombs, EMP mines. I already mentioned EMP a little while ago, but they have EMP mines, sonic traps, and pulse charges. Also, I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumor in Badlands that they have ice grenades now, which I think is pretty cool. I think cryo weapons are underrated. That's me expecting a Yautja arsenal, though. Moving on. The whip. It's a flexible blade. Kind of like, well, yes, it's called a flexible blade, even though it's a whip. Basically, I mean, we've all seen Castlevania. We know what whips can do. You know, but this whip, it looks like it's made out of a xenomorph tail, which makes it even more deadly. They can even cut through xenomorphs, like when Wolf from Requiem whipped him up and then pulled, cutting the Xeno into bits. Awesome! Can we see an electrically charged version like Whiplash from Marvel? Dan Trachtenberg? Doesn't have to be in this movie, it can be in the next movie. Please? After that, we have the bow. Yes, Yautja, even though they have laser guns, sometimes use bow and arrow. Bows and arrows. Wow, what's wrong with me today? Now, the Yautja bow in hunting grounds, where it was first prominently featured, it has been featured before that, but prominently in hunting grounds, it's basically just a standard bow. It launches an arrow, which sometimes has electrically charged tip, where it stabs into you, shocks you. Sometimes can take your head off in a single blow. But in Badlands, where it looks like it's set hundreds of years into the future, looks like Yautja have made plasma bows, where the catch is made out of plasma and the arrow is made out of plasma. Maybe they run on an internal battery, or maybe they run infinitely. Either way, bad news bears for whoever gets shot with it. And finally, the plasma sword. Featured very heavily in the marketing for Badlands and maybe featured heavily in the movie. It's a retractable sword where it folds outward, and then the blade superheats with plasma. When you get sliced with it, It burns as well as cuts. Very useful tool, I imagine, for Deck and his clan's adventures going forward. But yeah, that is all the time we have today for Hunter's Moon. So until then, Itcha Urts Naku. Bye bye.